Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Back here after a little holiday break. Hopefully you guys had a fantastic holiday. Um, as you guys can hear, we have the Rio Grande all done, back together. Everything is wired, running. Did run into a one issue when I was testing it, making sure I hooked everything back up the right way. And it was actually not it wasn't my fault. It was a factory issue with the panel. Excuse me. One of the, I don't know if it's a capacitor or a resistor, whatever it is, was not soldered on one side, and it was making my headlight work intermittently. So like sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. As you guys can see, it's on now. We have the number boards on. You guys can hear the sound from the tender. So she is all set. And let you guys see just a little test run. You know, I wish I could do more, but that's all I got. So runs super smooth. The rods look fantastic in motion. This was a fantastic project, really came together nicely. A few little hiccups here and there, but other than that, pretty smooth. Sound works great, everything works really good. I have an older controller here, so I have to turn it off, change the direction. You guys can see, you know, we have all some modern day updates on the tender. There's the tender light. I wish the headlight was as bright as the tender light. I know there is ways to fix that with different LEDs. Not too worried about that right now, but something to look into eventually. It just runs super smooth. I love how smooth this thing runs. But yeah, guys, there it is, all done. Let's see, I'm gonna bring it forward just a little bit. We'll talk about a few things here, just things that I've done to this, that way you guys can kind of get the feel for it. But this will be this is a fantastic project, kind of a different one. This didn't go the way that I was planning it to go, and that's good, because I have a another kind of modern day fantasy heritage locomotive that I can run now. Bring it forward just a little bit. I love how smooth this thing is. For it being kind of a conglomeration of parts and completely rebuilt from the ground up, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll stop it right there. And then we'll just turn it off. Alright, so the long list of things that I did, total, is, so this started life as a earlier Atherogenesis model, and I'll show you guys on the box here. So this is from the earlier runs when they were doing kind of the just black and white kind of drawn out schematic of the locomotive there. Not like some of those others that you see over there with like the newer color pictures. So within all of my parts that I had some nice parts to throw at it. Like I showed in earlier videos, this was originally a non-DCC, non-sound locomotive. Somebody put their own DCC and sound into it. Was a very messy job. The decoder would not program. So we completely took everything back to factory new, as far as all the internals go, electrical, all that is back to how it comes from the factory, from Athearn Genesis. A little bit newer electrical in it, which is good. Stuff that's going to last a while. We did the modern day updates to it, including dual dynamo, oil conversion, and then, like I showed you guys, some of the details on the back of the tender there, the MU hoses, the MU cable receptacle, and then some water piping for the spare for the auxiliary tenders. We have I put on a little equipment ID tag. All of my modern day stuff has those. We painted the wheels, as you guys saw, detailed a few things out in red, like the manual lubricators, and then the brake wheel, and then some of the little components on the tenders there. Just a few hints of red here and there for some of the details, like on the real ones. We ended up going with the silver painted bearing caps, or bearing covers on the trailing truck, the tender lead truck, and then the centipede axles. All got that nice UP silver. Like I've talked about in the past, you know, when I first started this project, it was going to be, it was actually going to be, this particular locomotive was going to be for parts for doing another 3985 project. But then I kind of thought about my options, and I was like, God, I really don't just want to waste a locomotive, and really thought about what I wanted to do with it, and decided to swap a bunch of parts around. Like I've talked about in the past, I had bought two 3985s back in the day. I multi-bought a lot of these locomotives for a lot of these oddball projects that you guys are seeing here. And when I had this one set up here, this 3985 in the background there, you know, that's all set up for modern day running. And I basically had a whole nother 3985 and all the parts with it just sitting around. I really didn't have much for Challengers. I have 3977, and prior to this one I had 3977, still have it, and 3985. You know, the only two that are still in existence. But then acquiring this one kind of sparked a new project, and like I said, kind of went through some changes here and there and some better ideas than original. And with this being an older one, it had the shinier smoke box and firebox, so that shell got swapped out for my other 3985 project, which I still can do. You guys saw that. This right now is just a free-rolling 3985 coal-burning version. This is most likely just going to be a shelf queen, or you know, something just to have every now and then. I do have enough electrical to power this if I want to. Right now I'm not too worried about it, just because this particular version would be very complicated to fit into my already very complicated and fantasy timeline. But it is cool to have, and eventually we will do some more paint work on this and make it look even better. So that's still a project, but I was able to kind of rejuvenate the Rio Grande and throw a bunch of new parts at it. Literally the only things that are left from the original locomotive itself are the drivers, all the rods, the cab, the tender shell, and then the back part of the tender there. Other than that, everything else has been replaced. So it's been a lot of getting parts together and going through all of my drawers of all my panels and speakers and contacts and wires and stuff like that. Piece everything back together nicely. Do a very clean job. You know, make it just as good as, or you know, clearly better from the factory. Like I said, and I'll actually show you if I have one here. It's a little different, but I can kind of explain what was going on. I think this is an older one, but one of these little guys right here was only soldered on one side, and it wasn't soldered on both sides. And like I said, that was causing some issues with my headlight. My headlight would work with the shell off. I would put the shell on, and the headlight wouldn't work. And it took me a while to find that was the issue. It was extremely annoying to try to like figure that out, but was able to find the issue, fix it, and everything is really nice and new in there now. As you guys saw, it runs really nice, really smooth. I'm excited for the day when I do have a layout and I can run this with some of my other UP steam. And really nice piece. Really happy with how it came out. Pretty straightforward project. Little, like I said, change it. Originally we were going to have this look very to spec for Rio Grande, but then I kind of wanted a more in-service Union Pacific vibe for it. So a lot of going back and forth in my brain there to get things figured out on just what I wanted there. So, but like I said, really happy with how it came out. This is a fantastic locomotive to add to the collection. You know, it's now a UP Fallen Flags Heritage steam locomotive, which is really cool. Plays into my whole fantasy storyline really nicely. Adds a really cool piece to do some fun stuff with. And because I've been waiting to see this, I'm putting something behind here. You guys might have seen it in the video already, but I really wanted to see what the Rio Grande Heritage unit looked like behind it, and I think that looks pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, like I said, eventually I will run these two together, so that'll be kind of a really special thing. It just looks awesome seeing some kind of modernized Rio Grande steam with the UP Heritage unit. Both of those are Athearn Genesis, so they should run together pretty decent. You know, whenever I get the chance to speed match them and all that stuff someday. Just for some more context, as far as like, you know, my modern day fantasy running stuff, I'm not talking about modern day. A lot of you guys that follow 4014 have seen the PTC upgrades done to it. Triple dynamo, PTC antenna cabinet mounted where the old toolbox is on the top of the tender. I'm not going that modern. My modern day is not that modern. My modern day is when basically when Union Pacific still owned and operated 3985 in a modern capacity. Now, of course, yes, I do have the Move version of 4014 and the earlier modern day running 4014 with just dual dynamo, no PTC. That's kind of my era cap. All of my stuff is kind of PTC transition. Some of my locomotives have PTC antenna cabinets on them, some don't. So I'm kind of, as far as like all of my UP stuff goes, it's kind of that, you know, like, so I have some of these units without PTC, some of them do have PTC cab roofs for them, so very transition era with PTC, and I'm not wanting to put PTC on my steam locomotives. I want my old stuff to have kind of those modern, you know, the older modern upgrades, and then less of the newer modern upgrades. Kind of keeping it classy, not too modern day. Kind of that nicer era of steam without PTC. So, like I've stated in past videos, none of my, like my turbines that you guys saw, those aren't going to get PTC on them. Anything that's old, that's with the silver trucks and the green nose paint scheme, none of that stuff's getting PTC. We're keeping that stuff pretty classy, and it works for me since I am in PTC transition era. So, just kind of some technicals on my very confusing era that I model, just because I do include a lot of fantasy stuff. Some stuff that you guys will see, like I said, coming up. I need to fix a couple issues and added some more details to my Move version of 4014. This locomotive is still completely wired up. I simply removed the motor to depower it, make it free rolling, because I wanted this to actually tow. I want diesel locomotives to, you know, on each end, like it was for the Move. You know, free rolling, everything's nice and free rolling. So that stuff, I think, let's see, the issue that I was having with this one is the headlight was working and then the headlight stopped working. I do not believe it's the same issue that I had with the panel on this one, because this headlight worked for quite a while and then it just stopped. So I don't know if like one of my soldered on wires came off, or if, I highly doubt the LED is burnt out. I don't have enough hours on it for that, but we'll see. I got to take it apart and figure out what's going on there. Like I said, add a few more details. I'm not doing the big red air hose on this one. I'm kind of doing I'm doing post Colton Yard Move. So if you guys know, when it went from Pomona to West Colton Yard, that was its first move, and then it sat, they did some work to it in West Colton, and then a little while after that, then they moved it back to Cheyenne. So I'm doing that like last leg of the move type deal, where they either replaced the hose with a black hose or they painted the red hose black to make it look better. Honestly, kind of surprised that they took that much effort, but kind of neat. So we're not doing the big red hose, but I do need to try to work on a couple other details on the tender. You guys see I have the steam pipes on cribbing up on the tender. I need to strap those down yet, and then add a few more details. We've talked about the interior of the tender. It's just not very easy to do that and keep the electrical and the mounting points on these, just with how Athearn kind of has their internal structure set up. So without just doing an insane amount of work, I basically just blanked off the coal spot on that tender. So we won't have that detail, but as far as like some of the other details, shinier parts that the guys cleaned up when they were servicing the rods to put them back on the locomotive. You guys can see some stuff has the kind of museum painted silver, and then some stuff is the pure metal color. But we'll talk more about that later. Still a lot of stuff to do on that. But this project is done. The Rio Grande 3804 done, ready to roll, ready to run. Gonna be an awesome part to the collection. And like I said, I love seeing it with the Heritage unit. I think that looks fantastic. I did opt to put an actual KD metal coupler in the front. My 3985, you guys can see I just have the Pilot flip-out coupler on that one. Just because most of the time 3985 is going to be a front runner. Like if I have these two together, of course I'm going to put 3985 in front because I love that locomotive. So we opted to put the better front coupler on this one for towing. They still look pretty good with the coupler pockets aren't too bad on these. I think they look alright if you have the coupler out. Especially with having a weathered coupler. You guys can see on all these steam locomotives that do have the couplers out, they are weathered, so that kind of, you know, they actually look like a rusty steel coupler. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I'm going to bring out one more little special thing before I figure out what I'm going to work on next. Not quite sure what I want to work on next. Something that's out here is going to be worked on, so that's what you guys can expect. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed my my update videos on this project, kind of seeing my whole thought process on the whole thing change drastically throughout this series of videos. And that's it. On to the next. So thanks again for all the support, and until next time, take care.